Shaun, I listened to ESPN have a conversation about Shedeur, and it was never. It's all Kevin Stefanski's fault. If Shedeur was unprepared, it's on Kevin Stefanski. No blame for Shedeur Sanders. I maybe it is Kevin Stefanski's fault, but there's an equal chance that it's Shadeur's fault. That as a backup quarterback, he didn't properly prepare. Am I crazy here?
Absolutely not. And two things can be true. And I think what's interesting is the people that support Shedeur at the highest level think they are enhancing his opportunity by placing blame elsewhere when really they're doing more harm than good. Like you have to take the name out of this evaluation and attach the truth. The truth is a truth. It doesn't have emotions. I live by that, Jay. He's a fifth round draft pick. Look at the history of the National Football League at this position. How many fifth round or later drafted quarterbacks got a fair shot? How many fifth round or later quarterbacks get reps with the first team? I am overly qualified to talk about this. I was a second round draft pick, 50th pick in the draft. I have been a starter in the National Football League. I've been a backup and I've been third string. I didn't get one first team rep until I became the starter. And when I became the starter, I wanted every rep because you only get so many opportunities to practice what we're going to actually implement on Sunday. So this narrative that Stefanski's against Shedeur, I don't agree with that. This narrative that Shedeur hasn't played because he's ill-prepared, I don't agree with that. I think the honest and right opinion is he's a fifth-round draft pick. He's not top NIL earner in college football at Colorado right now. He's not coached by his father. He's not a first-round draft pick. He's not a second-round draft pick. He's a fifth-round draft pick. And unlike a lot of fifth-round draft picks, guess what, Jason? Against a very bad Raiders team, he's getting an opportunity to get his first start. A defense that Dak Prescott just threw 4 touchdowns and almost 300 yards against. I look at it as, listen, this is your shot. Right, wrong, indifferent. Who cares how we got here? You're getting an opportunity that a lot of guys drafted in the fifth round or later at this position never get. An opportunity to start and show that everybody else was wrong and you were right. And I think that needs to be the narrative going into this game. If you call yourself legendary, let's see. Because this is the same team that Joe Flacco couldn't make look good on offense. The same team that Dylan Gabriel, who was drafted ahead of you, couldn't make look good on offense. Now you get your shot. If this offense looks better than it has with the previous 2 quarterbacks, guess what? The Browns are wrong. If this offense doesn't look better, you don't get to seek any comfort. I don't want to hear that the O-line didn't protect or there aren't elite wide receivers or we don't have a running game because you have already acknowledged that you consider yourself better than your peers. Made a statement in the locker room earlier in the season. He said, listen, I look around the league and I'm better than the quarterback play that I see out there. You know what? All right, Shedeur, go show us. Sunday, we're going to find out.
What do you expect to happen on Sunday? I'm not based off of any strategic, just my gut feeling is he's going to put up some decent numbers and people are going to overreact and say he's arrived rather than he's had one good game. My gut says this story continues. He does something to fuel the fire that's not based off strategy, that's not based off of personnel and matchups. It's based off, I believe this story is just going to get better. And anyway, what do you think happens on Sunday?
I'm going to change your question slightly, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
What do I want to see on Sunday?
There you go.
I want to see Shedeur Sanders make his layups. When there is a clean pocket and a guy is open, I want to see him throw the ball in rhythm and accurately. That's the number one thing. Second thing, I want to see him understand situational football. Meaning, if Stefanski or Tommy Reese, who I think is calling the plays now, calls an aggressive play on 1st and 10, and there's a pass protection breakdown, throw the ball away. Don't take a 12-yard sack. On 3rd and 8, if you're trying to make something happen, I get it because we're trying to pick up a first down. If we don't get it, we got to punt anyway. Like, those are the nuanced little things that I'm going to be looking for in this game. Can he effectively operate the offense within the guidelines of the system? And ultimately, if they get on the plane, they go back to Cleveland, and he made enough plays for them to win, I think that's a win for Shedeur.
The other thing I'll add this to your want to. I want to see him throughout the game and particularly in the post game carry himself like a leader and a true starting quarterback. I've never seen what I saw this last week when he enters the game and he's egging the fans on like he's Hulk Hogan entering a WWE wrestling event. I don't want to see any of that. I want to see some humility. I want to see some, I'm about this business. I'm not playing to the crowd. And then post game, I want him to make it through an entire 15-minute question and answer session without saying one thing that's a slight or one thing that's off. I want to see him carry himself like a leader and a starting quarterback in the NFL.
So here's what's interesting about this, and I'm fascinated by what your response is going to be. I want the same thing, but I'm 48. You're a little older than me. We're both
58.
black men. The reason we desire that from him is because the sustainability increases exponentially if that's how he presents himself. But what if somebody asks you to change? Like, you've been in multiple places, and you just said one of the reasons that maybe you aren't still there is because of your inability to acquiesce to what people wanted. You stood on the truth and what your real opinion was, even if it was unliked or unreceived, because that's what you really believe. So I battle a little bit with this because I think that's actually who Shedeur really is. I don't think that's who he needs to be, but I think that's who he really is. So my message to him would be, if you're going to do that, then the expectation is extremely high. If you want to be the guy, every time you get a first down, you run 10 yards, every time something good goes on, you throw your watch up in the air, that's fine. But now you can't ever seek comfort. You can't say the O-line didn't block. You can't say, my bad, we didn't get it done. Like, the grading scale is on a higher curve when you present yourself like that. So for selfish reasons, because I am a former black quarterback in the National Football League, and I know what the league is looking for and wants and desires from that position, from how you represent yourself, which is a representation of the organization, I want him to just play football. Because that's the one position in all the sports. If you play it at a high level, you're going to become a superstar. You don't need the extras. You don't need the additives. You don't have to put anything else in the drink. And so I'm with you. I agree 100%. That's what I want to see. But I want to hear your opinion. What's different between me and you wanting him to change and people wanting you to change throughout your career in this business?
Well, I've had to change, and not for business purposes, but part of me, anybody that knows me, and from back in the days, I used to put a D at the end of it. I loved to cuss. Loved it. I could, I used MF as a term of endearment. The way a lot of people say the N word and call it a term of endearment, that's how I was with MF. I loved to sit in a strip club until closing time. Or if I left early, it's because I had talked someone into leaving early with me. Loved it. I was out of line. It was retardation on my part. Many of the things that I loved and thought made me special. I loved, with a D, hip hop music. Friends with rappers, went to, just knew everything. Considered myself a hip hop expert and all that. There are things I had to figure out about myself that were defeating me and stopping me from reaching my full potential as a human being, stopping me from being in an alignment with Jesus Christ, who I said I served. And I look at Shedeur, I look at Dion, they say they're serving Jesus Christ. I don't see them making much effort to get in alignment there. They love to use the words and say this and say that, but in terms of taking action, hey, look, anybody that knows me knows I love, no D included, I love food. I got to get that under control. I need to put a D at the end of that. And particularly, I got to correct. And so there are things that we have to give up as men if we want to reach our full potential and to be in alignment with Jesus Christ, who we say we serve. And so the things that I'm asking for Shedeur to realize and change up on, I think give him a better chance of sustaining and being a great quarterback, impacting young people, sending the right message to young people and all that. That's Shaun, I'm just keeping it. I used to love jewelry and, putting on my gold chain and all that and being flashy. I had to give that up because I want to be. It creates a false bravado and to me, it's a sign of insecurity. I had to give it up. So that's what I would say. There's many things that have changed about me as I've tried to get in alignment with God, and I'm trying to be the things I'm asking from Shedeur, criticizing Shedeur about, are about getting him in alignment for long-term success and just being a better representation of the faith that he says he has. Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all your fearless friends.